Hello, I am Jeff Stockton, and I'm a guitar teacher in Kalamazoo, Michigan, full-time, and I seldom get an opportunity to teach jazz guitar stuff, and I really love to. So, hello YouTube. This is my first time posting anything on YouTube. And I think I'm going to start posting a bunch of jazz guitar lessons. I'm in the course of writing a book right now, and I'll keep you guys posted about that. Today I want to start off at basic chromaticism. It's something that tends to elude a lot of guitar players. Before I get into it, I want to just say that I'm teaching this sort of geared towards anyone who already knows basic diatonic harmony, their seventh chords, they understand 2, 5, 1 progressions, they understand major scales, and they know their positions for their major scales. So if you don't know that stuff yet, maybe bookmark it, come back to it after you've you know, solidified those things, because they're very important. And without that stuff as a foundation, this video is going to be meaningless. So chromatic notes fall into two categories within any sort of music. You've got approaching tones and you've got neighboring tones. An approaching tone, for instance, would be where you're just approaching a note that's within the scale or within the chord even, and you're approaching it by a half step below. So let's say I'm playing this major 7 chord, and I just want to start at my 5th and lead down to my 7th. Now it sounds alright. It already sounds a little jazzy because I'm landing on that 7th. I'm making a big point of the 7th, which is the note in the chord that's giving it that quality. But it's going to sound a lot jazzier if I approach the 7th by a note a half step below it. So a flat 7th, or really it would be better in this case to think of it as a sharp 6th. Whoops. Right there, just that use of that one chromatic note makes a big difference. Now let's do that over an A minor 7 chord. In that case, it was the same note that I approached by a half step below. It was the B, when I did in both octaves that time. So now the B is relating as the 9th, though, of the chord. Now I could go about it that way, or just, by the way, that's what they call an enclosure, when you have this target note that you're leading for, and you're approaching it by, typically the rule of thumb is by a scale step above the note that you're leading towards, followed by a half step below the note, regardless of whether that half step is in the scale or not. That's what gives you your chromaticism in there. Here's a C arpeggio, just a basic C major arpeggio, going up 2 octaves. Let me use that little enclosure device on each of these chord tones. So that was 2 root, 7 root, basically. And then 4, 3, sharp 2, 3. And then 6, 5, sharp 4, 5. So it's always a half step below. And that gives you a lot of, well, a little chromaticism anyway right there. Now I could get even more chromaticism if I maybe add a 7th to my arpeggio there. Whoops, sorry, that's in a minute here. Oh, I did the root, sorry. I did it again. So that's one way I can go about it, or I can just whoops. Right there I kind of let that sequence in a 3/4, you know, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so you can hear how it's a, the meter is 4, but the notes are cycling 3. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Kind of helps it to sound less like a pattern. And patterns are your enemy in jazz. They're your best friend and they're your enemy. You want to be able to use patterns, you want to be able to disguise the fact that you're using them. So, let me do the same sort of thing with an A minor chord. Now that's starting to sound like and that's alright. I mean, you're going to hear that sort of stuff in jazz and other styles all over the place. That time I added a 9 there. I could do this with an entire scale though, and in that case I'll be using all 12 notes. I won't be skipping a single note, but none of them are going to sound wrong. And that's a really big point with jazz guitars, that or with jazz phrasing in general, any instrument, is that there's no such thing as a wrong note. There's only wrong ways to use notes.